Welcome, track and field fans, to the 2024 World Indoor Recap Show. The 2024 Worlds are in the books. What a Worlds. What a great final day. In case you missed it, well, if you're watching live, you didn't miss it, I assume. But I guess it's possible. It's been a few hours. Geordie Beamish. He may be the fourth best miler on the OAC, but he is the world champion. Yes, that's right. Geordie Beamish has shocked the world and won the world title. As Americans have won not one, not two, not three, but 4 medals in the 1500. Every American in the 1500 has medaled on the men's and women's side. Congrats to them. Bryce Hoppel is golden in the men's 800. Dominant performance. The Americans have lost both 4x4s. Fred Kerley has taken a shot at Noah Lyles and USATF. And who was the one that asked Noah about it? It had to be me, of course. Mondo has done his thing, but only after a scare. He's won the world title. All of that and more. 2024 Worlds are over. We're going to break it down for you. Who is the biggest winners of Worlds? Who are the biggest losers? I am MuchRun.com co-founder Robert Johnson. This is Jonathan Galt. I think we're joined remotely by Weldon Johnson in wonderful
Connecticut. That's where he lives. Yeah, fantastic night here in Scotland. I mean, Robert, this has to go down as one of the greatest nights in the history of U.S. middle distance running, right? You had, in the span of 40 minutes, Americans won 5 medals at the World Indoor Championships. Bryce Hoppel's gold in the 800, and then you had silver and bronze by Cole Hocker and Hobbs Kessler.
Not sure what happened there. Hopefully the crew from Scotland will be back. Sneaking in the other room to get something to drink. Jonathan Gall there was saying it was one of the greatest nights in American distance history. Yeah, I mean, we got gold, silver and bronze, women's 1500, silver and bronze, men's 1500, gold in the men's 800. But I think the pushback would be, John, this is World Indoors. Nobody cares. At the end of the day, this is like dressing on the cake. World Indoors, Boris Berrien is a world indoor champion. David Krubenacher is a world indoor champion. So some amazing performances. I mean, Ellie Perrier, St. Pierre, 820 for an American record gold medal. But gold is just indoors is just the appetizer. The crew from Scotland is back. And
it's too loud in my ear.
Sorry, people, for the technical difficulties. Jonathan, Robert.
Yeah, Robert, did you hear much of my monologue, Weldon? I was saying this is one of the great nights in the history of U.S. distance running.
Yes, I went with it and then sort of picked up where you left off and said it was amazing, but I think the pushback would be this is World Indoors. Like,
yes, absolutely fair. Absolutely fair. Some of the major players weren't here. Some of them were. Like, you know, you got to give credit to Ellie St. Pierre. She beat Gudaf Tsige, who's a world record holder, albeit Tsige, it sounds like, was on a period. But yeah, there's a caveat there. But still, 5 medals in 40 minutes, and some brilliant running, really. Like Bryce Hoppel looked absolutely fantastic. Emily Mackay and Nikki Hiltz. I mean, I certainly wasn't expecting Emily Mackay to medal. I thought Nikki Hiltz maybe would be in line if one of the Ethiopians faltered. Turns out a couple of them did. And Kessler ran a brilliant tactical race. So much improved from USA's 2 weeks ago. Cole Hocker would have won it if not for a phenomenal final 200 from Geordie Beamish. So a lot to be optimistic about heading into the outdoor season, but we know it's going to be a lot tougher to earn those medals in Paris. But this was a terrific meet for the Americans who did show up. And I got to say, you know, you got to give credit to all of these Americans who did show up and to USATF for sending full teams, because, you know, not every country takes this meet seriously. Not every runner takes it seriously, but the Americans who did brought it, and they deserve to come home with all this hardware. 7 medals overall for the Americans. That's one more than they won in Portland on home soil in 2016. I have to imagine it's the most the U.S. distance crew has ever piled up at a World Indoors. It's just the only event where they didn't medal was the women's 800, which ironically was the one they had the most success in recently, medaling in the last 6 championships before this one.
It was great. Can you all hear us pretty good? We're on John's wife. We're on John's phones. I'm worried that the internet connection is not great.
It's actually probably better than it's been, so period. So this is the best you guys have.
Okay, good.
Clear. So.
All right. Well, let's go in order here. I want to take this just to make sure that it's late at night here. It's been a long 3 days. It's been an exciting 3 days. I want to go sort of in order. Let's go men's 1500, women's 1500, men's 800, women's 800.
What order is that?
Just the order I want to go with.
Okay.
We're starting with the distances. I want to go with the men's 1500. That was more anticipated race for me. We want to start with the entree. Then we're going to go to the 8s, then the 4x4s, other events, and just overall thoughts about worlds, biggest winners, biggest losers, things like that. So the men's 1500, it was unfortunate that there was 14 people in the race. We had some problems in the prelims. I think this is one reason why moving forward indoors, they should go with a 10-person final. And then if there's any falls or whatever, you could bump that up to 12 because, they were scheduled for 12. They get a couple falls or whatever, and they end up with 14 people, which is too many. And I was kind of wondering, what was going to happen here. Nobody's going to want to go out in the back. Is it going to be fast, etc.? And the reality was, though, it wasn't really well crowded. I didn't think that the field side plays too much in it.
I wasn't thinking about it during the race. I'll say that. And I posed this question, I think it was yesterday's show. Would some enterprising athlete decide, I will take the pace because the front is a good place to be in? Hobbs Kessler basically did this. Vincent Katara of Kenya was in front of him for a little bit there. But Kessler got out to the front early and essentially stayed there the entire way. And I think that gave him an advantage because obviously he didn't have the same kick as Beamish and Hocker over the last lap. But he was running less distance. And I think his positioning helped him on that bronze medal tonight. So, he wasn't – he kept it fast enough that no one was itching to sort of take over from him. I thought it was really impressive, particularly with how poorly he ran the U.S. championships a couple of weeks ago. So I thought a smart racing strategy by him, and he got beat by 2 of the best kickers I'd say in the entire world in this event. So I don't think there's anything for Hobbs Kessler in his first global championships to be ashamed of.
No, he ran a brilliant race, and the contrast between the way this race was run up front versus the women's race, I thought the Ethiopians put on an exhibition of how not to run a 1500 was vast. Ethiopians, look, I've got a good friend from Ethiopia. He can be the translator. I will coach your team to world. They're the worst coach team I've ever seen. It's just, we'll get into that when we get to the women's analysis. But yeah, Hocker, Kessler, was out in 58.9, 157.19. So he didn't slow down, which is good. Then 255. So he did a really nice job of, you said it perfectly, John, running the 58s, 59s, and 57s, and just so no one's going to go around him. Meanwhile, everyone behind him, or a lot of the people, at least half the field's out running in lane 2. And then the other people are moving up and back, worried about position. And there's both an emotional and physical toll to that. And I'm good friends with Princeton coach Jason Vigilani, coach Leo Manzano back in the day. And I was talking to him one time, and he's like, so many people are scared to lead, but if you can do it, it's one of the best places to be. Manzano won an NCAA title from the front one year. I think as a freshman. I think German Fernandez did it one time. Matthew Sinchowitz did it. This race actually reminded me of Sinchowitz because I'm like, Hocker's getting a smooth ride, running in the latest distance. The big players are behind him and worried about what's going on. And the whole time I was watching Cole Hocker. For one reason is I thought he was the favorite to the race. Another reason is if he won that race, I would have $1,500 more in my wallet than I do right now. But to be honest, Geordie Beamish's race was so amazing. I wasn't even that bad about losing the $1,500. So I bet 250. I would have won 1,250 in profit.
Well, wait. Can we give a shout out to the Let's Run visitor? Just say, I don't know if he wants to give his full name, but we'll give the first name, Ben. We got this email minutes after the race had concluded. John Weldon and Robert made $1,700 on a Beamish bet for Worlds. Not sure if anyone even voted on the bloke because he was plus 1,600, but it was a good gut call. Knows his leg speed. Letting you all know, attached as the bet split. Enjoy Glasgow. Well, congratulations, Ben, because you nailed it. Enjoy that. Nice profit there. And I just want to say, there was one person on this podcast who the last 2 weeks had been warning everyone, hey, Geordie Beamish, that guy can really close at the end of races. He might be someone you want to look out for if he's close near the end. Now, it turns out he wasn't really close near the end. He was 8th. He was at the bell. He was gapped on the back straight of the final lap. He passed 4 guys in the final straightaway, which is almost impossible to do in an indoor race. But I kept saying, this guy, he could win. It's an indoor race. There's no Jakob to make it fast. Like, watch out. And I kept getting poo-pooed by the 2 Johnson brothers saying, no, this guy, he gets too far back. This is a world final. What are you thinking, John? Can I get an apology for the slander that was directed towards Geordie Beamish, who's now a world champion?
I will apologize. We should, in hindsight, after it's all over, oops, damn face recognition when I put my hands up, is when it's all over, it's kind of like obvious. Like, of course, Beamish could have won this thing, but I didn't bet on him, and I should have bet on both him. I was worried about the Portuguese guy who was right up there. But look, I talked to Beamish at length. There's a great interview up on YouTube, 8-9 minutes. He and I, like everyone else, just started bowing. Look, these morons in the message boards who say Rojo's not a journalist, like, look who held court with the world champion in the 1500. He was looking me at the eye, and the other journalists were waiting for me to ask the good questions. So watch the interview and see what face he's looking at.
Me asking for an apology for Rojo for doubting Geordie Beamish has somehow turned into Rojo inflating his own ego as the king of the mixed zone. But anyway, go on.
I have the memory of a goldfish, folks, but I remember it hit me from 2 years ago at World Indoors. I remember talking to Geordie Beamish. It's a short interview. We linked to it in our article. And he ran the men's 3,000 2 years ago. I think it was a tactical race, but they had 2 years ago. They had 2 rounds of the 3,000, not just a straight final like they do this year. And he's like, look, that was the type of race I think I could have won. He finished 10th. He's saying this after finishing 10th. He's like, I think that's the race I could have won, but my legs are trash. I'm not strong enough. I take 2 days off a week. Every time we work out, I take a day off. I can't really train at a high level. And he said after the race today, he's like, look, I really bumped it up at the end of the year. I go, how much more is your volume? He's like, probably twice as much as it was from 2 years ago. He said he was cross-training a decent amount, but at the end of the year, he just started running more. A lot on his easy days, taking it easy. He's up over triple digits. He said over 100 miles after Milrose. And now that kick has not gone anywhere. That kick is still there. He has the strength to unleash it and win races, to win a world title. And it shouldn't be that shocking right now when you think about it, because the way he's described the race is like, look, I thought Cole was the favorite, as did we. And he's like, and I felt like we had similar fitness. They both ran 8:05 in the 2 mile at Milrose. Now, Hocker ended up beating Beamish, and that's the only time someone's beaten Beamish in the last 200 of a race in what?
He said it's the only time someone has passed him in the last 200 since 2019. The last guy to do it was someone by the name of Donovan Brazier, who was pretty good that year, as you might recall.
So nobody outkicked this guy in the final 200 of a race period. Hocker did it probably only because Beamish miscounted the races, but he runs 8:05 for the 2 mile, and then he'd also run 13:04 for 5,000. So you put that sick kick with that, somehow before this on very low mileage, like 40, 50 miles a week, I think in college or 2 years ago, he'd run 13:12, which is crazy. This guy's a massive talent. He's got an unreal kick, but he's like, I wanted to follow Hocker. And if you watch the tape, we just watched the race again. I was watching Hocker the whole race. And
people. They did it again. They pulled the cord. Well, this is good because I've been trying to get a word in, and I don't know, maybe there's a lag from Scotland. But Kyle Peter says, how many times will Galt say, I told you so when they go over Beamish's win? Well, he's done it once. So let's everybody take a drink. Every time John gloats about this, we'll take a drink. So, John, we're just acknowledging that you're gloating here like they said you would do. And thank God there was some like stuff with the back end of the website this weekend. Stuff was down. I did not put out any videos doubting Geordie Beamish because I was the big cheerleader, sort of mocking him. I was taking more of a Rojo stance, a little firmer, because overall I've been very impressed with Geordie Beamish. But I thought this is the World Championships. He's not at this level. He can't do it at this level. And having said that, when I was like placing my bets today, I didn't do Beamish, but I'm like, God, 14-1. I bet Hocker and I bet Nordas, and then I thought, God, 14-1 Beamish, like in a kicker's race, he could win this thing. I didn't see other guys actually winning the race. In my mind, the way I saw this going, they said, oh, there's no Jakob in this race. There was a Jakob in this race. His name is Nordas. I can't believe Nordas ran the race he did. Like, take the lead and push it. It's official now. Geordie Beamish, if the race is like 335 and above, will lose to no one in the world, I'm confident, ever. Like, forget about it. I don't think anybody beats him. So, having said that, I'm not even sure Geordie Beamish should run this event at World Outdoors. I don't know if you guys want to go there, because I think in a fast race, there's no evidence that he could do this at that level. So there's still a lot on the table for Geordie Beamish. What's he going to run? Did you guys ask him that?
Yes, I'm not sure where I cut out. First of all, he said he's going to run the steeplechase outdoors. He kept saying, I don't have the standard. I'm like, who cares, dude? You could easily get the standard. But he said, I'll never be able to run 343. I'll never be able to run 56 per lap for a 1500. He's like, that's fine. He thinks that he and Cole Hocker are the best final 150 of anyone in the world. And look, I think that the odds at the World Championship final aren't more honest than this, or slim, and I don't think he would be in it for the win. He loves the steeplechase. He said he had a ton of fun last year, and that's what his plan is. So if you watch the whole interview, he did discuss, briefly doing the 1500 for a while, but I don't know where I cut out before, but what I was saying was I don't think Hocker could run 1304 indoors. So with his kick, we should have, but we were kind of making fun of Beamish for getting dropped in the middle of the prelim.
Well, hold on. Let's wait a second. I'm going to humble myself a little bit because I'm taking this victory lap here. But he was 8th at the bell. I was looking at that. I'm like, I wasn't even thinking about him, honestly, at that point. I was like, Cole Hocker's going to win. I wasn't even paying attention to Beamish.
Can I take the credit now? Act like I'm on the Beamish team because John's like, Hocker on the final turn, halfway around the Hocker turn. Hocker, and I knew Hocker was getting to the lead, but I said no. But I was watching Beamish at that point. Yeah. And Beamish was just tracking Hocker. Like Hocker was.
I hadn't noticed it, but I was looking at that, like watching that race on the replay. I would have been like, the dude's 8th at the bell. He's cost himself a shot at the win. There's no way you pass 7 people in a World Championship final in a 336 race indoors. He ran the whole last lap in lane 2, still closed in 26:09. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say this was like some brilliant tactical masterclass. It's just this guy has an absolutely insane final 200, and it was enough to blow away everyone in the world tonight. So, I mean,
and he did it perfectly. The last 100 was the fastest. A lot of times guys don't do that.
I do agree he should stick in the steeple because the 1500, if it was run the way it was run like 10 years ago, I'd say move to the 1500, dude. That's a glory event, and you've got the kick to win global medals. But with it being 328 or 329 races now in global championship finals, which I think it will be for as long as Jakob is around, or until Jakob decides he wants to try something new, I think it's just his chances are going to be better in the steeple, especially because the prelims, even the semis of the 1500 these days, goes quite fast. And if he's saying he doesn't think he's going to be able to run 56s all day, I think the steeple's probably the right place for him.
It is interesting, right? This race, Geordie Beamish, by winning this race, it almost makes him need to do the steeple even more. Because anyone who saw this race, any of those 1500-meter guys, if there was any doubt, even if you're a Kerr, you're like, okay, I want a slow race, I can outkick Jakob. You're like, holy shit, this guy will beat me if it's 335. Like, there's no way Josh Kerr can be happy with that one, right? So,
oh my God, Weldon has gone from Geordie Beamish isn't good enough in the world stage to literally no one in the entire world can beat Geordie Beamish in the last 150. I love the
In a 335 or over race, I don't think so. 335 and over. Do you guys think anyone in the world outkicks Geordie Beamish?
I'm trying to run through people
No.
who would. I mean,
No.
what Josh Kerr just closed in 25:19 to win the world title last night in the 3,000 meters.
Kerr might do
I
it.
think that guy might have a chance of doing it.
And we don't know what Whiteman can do. He's a 143 guy.
Okay. I say that in a 335 or over race. I want you guys to tell me
Wait,
Geordie Beamish's 1,500 meter PR.
What was the winning time tonight?
Geordie Beamish's 1,500 meter PB.
What-
I mean, he doesn't run a lot of 15s, right? Did he run it tonight? Is it 336?
Oh, wait, actually, this is 100 slower than his outdoor PR. He has run a 351 mile last year, so I guess that's better. But 336.53, he ran 336.54 tonight is his PB, 351 miles. So, like, you're still getting at his max territory. I think he should try to run a faster 1,500 and see what he can do. But
I want to see it.
think it's
Yeah,
probably-
agreed.
The mileage is up. The kick has not been diminished by the increased mileage. He's at a whole nother level, but I'm excited to see what he can do in the steeplechase.
I'm
And
not showing it. Tell me here.
one more thing also, Hobbs Kessler, that people said this reminded them of Centro. It was such an impressive race. You know why? Because I didn't expect him to be a factor in this final. And then only when I looked at the splits, I was like looking behind the whole time. Like I thought Nordas was going to push it. And I'm like, where's Nordas? Where's Hocker? I was sort of looking at Beamish, the jostling. I didn't really look who was leading. Only at the very end, I'm like, oh my God, he went wire to 1,470 meters. I mean, he led the whole thing. It was so smart. He doesn't have a lot of experience at this to do that. He kept it fairly honest, 58s. It was a great performance for him. But the question marks are they're going to be there for outdoors, right? Like making the U.S. team is no guarantee at all.
Well, look at this. We have
very hard.
We have 3 guys in this meet from the United States who are going to be in the Olympic trials 1,500. All 3 of them medal. That was Yared Nuguse, Hobbs Kessler, and Cole Hocker. I don't know if you can guarantee any of them are on the team. I feel very.
Oh, hope they didn't hit the cord again, people. I'm not sure what's going on. It's a good thing I'm on the show tonight because last night I wasn't here. Like, we would just be dead silence. But, yeah, John's saying, Kessler, Nuguse, and Hocker all got medals. So I'll be running, presumably, the 1,500 outdoors at the trials. And I agree. God, man, it's going to be tough because you got some of the college kids. But as things stand, I mean, how can I say this? Kessler almost beat Hocker today. I feel very confident about Cole Hocker and Yared Nuguse being on the U.S. Olympic team. Obviously, my next choice would be Hobbs Kessler, but maybe the mileage catches up to him, the inexperience of doing the longer season, that sort of stuff. But obviously, this was a huge positive step. The indoor season is a huge positive step for his career. But man, I mean, this was, as they said, this was an amazing meet. U.S. distance running really brought it, but it's still the sort of indoor season. Just trying to stall here now to see if they come back before Rojo had some grand order. We were supposed to discuss these races. I was saying, does the Airbnb have Wi-Fi? You'd think so. I know they were saying there were some issues with it. They haven't texted or anything. I've got do not disturb here on. We'll check that. I think this proves, right? Does anyone know? Put in the chat. I've been thinking about getting that satellite internet, what's it called? Skylink, whatever that Elon Musk thing is, just for backup. But it would be nice to have, what if we get an Airbnb in Paris and something's up with the internet? We don't want to rely on the cell phones. Would that be sufficient for a live video show in Paris or anywhere we want? We could just take it as a backup and you only pay for it the month you use. So I'd pay one time $600 up front and then a fee. So somebody, let us know about that. Good question here, David Minter. How many Ivy League guys does it take to do a podcast? Well, clearly you need a fourth to do the technical thing. This is why, NBC pays big bucks to have the guys like, what's it called? The grip. No, that's good as a camera, but to keep stuff going. Okay. Stalling is up. I see some flickering behind the scenes. Oh, is that a bathroom? Uh-oh, people. Do we see a bathroom? I'll mute them. We can see the inner workings here of the Scottish Airbnb. What time is it in Scotland? I think it's 5 hours ahead, so that's 1:30 in the morning. But okay. Oh, did it again. All right. They want me to go. Which race should we say? Maybe an earthquake. Is there an earthquake in Scotland? Who knows? Okay, first let's do Bryce Hoppel, because I think this one's easier to analyze. People are saying to do the women's 1500. Bryce Hoppel is your world champion at 800 meters, joining David Krummenacher and Boris Berrien of the United States. To me, like on the broadcast, it makes it sound like the U.S. hasn't had a lot of success at the event. For distance running, that's pretty good. 3 damn gold medals, better than the other events. So he ran, become the first guy in the year under 145. I think the winning time, I can double check here, 144.92. So world leader, great tactics. I mean, this was excellent. He came in saying, I've never felt better. Robert and John were telling you guys from Scotland how confident he felt, ran a masterpiece. He put himself in position and kicked the last 100, the last 50. Sometimes that last turn indoors can be a problem. You have to go extra distance. Guys sort of do that probably 8 out of 10 times on the final turn. They want to be as close as possible to close the gap. But sometimes that extra distance cost you. But not a lot of times 800, because usually somebody's dying the last 30 meters. And that's sort of what happened here. Heading into that last lap, or I guess before that, Mariano Garcia, defending champ, had the lead. Crest out of Belgium, there was a little contact there, gets the lead. And then Hoppel just stalks them the final lap. Garcia's really not a factor. Pulls around, and then the question was, you saw Andreas Kramer of Sweden sort of trying to pull the Geordie Beamish, and he just couldn't get there. Ended up, for an 800, he wins by 0.35, 144.92 to 145.27. This was a masterclass performance. Hoppel's been 4th before outdoors, because I've been poo-pooing, it's world indoors, it doesn't mean anything. Boris Berrien, what did he ever do outdoors? David Krummenacher, what did he ever do outdoors? But the 800, the way it is internationally right now, if you're winning the world indoors, it's a very good sign. Looks like we've got
Boris Berrien
back.
Yeah, Boris, sorry about this. Robert's computer had some sort of disease. It'll crash every so often, so sorry about that. But Boris Berrien, for the record, ran 143 outdoors and did make an Olympic final. He did essentially nothing after 2016, but making an Olympic final is still pretty good.
Hoppel was amazing in this meet. We were a little bit worried. John and I were the same, and we had our feelings about Hoppel. Like, based on what he did in the first 2 rounds, he deserved to be the favorite. But we're like, a lot of journalists were like, did he run too fast? I mean, he had the fastest time in the semis. The same thing was true with Riki in the women's 800. And like, are they going to be a little bit tired in the final or not? And Hoppel was just masterclass.
Well, he kept saying, I asked him that after the semifinals. He's just like, I don't think so. I've been at altitude this whole winter in Flagstaff training, and I felt amazing the whole meet. I felt amazing all season, apart from that 1,000 where he got his ass handed to him by Marco Arock. Every other race he's won, and he's felt comfortable doing it. I went into this final like, Bryce Hoppel, he's my favorite to win the race. And even on the last lap, Robert can tell you, he was behind Preston. He wasn't sure if he was going to do it. I didn't doubt him for a second. I was like, he's close enough. He's going to win this race. And he did. And I think that said something interesting about his approach this year, because Bryce Hoppel, he's very consistent, okay? He turns pro in 2019 after winning NCAA's indoors and outdoors. He gets 4th in the World Championship final. The next year, he runs 143 at PB. The next year after that, he makes the Olympic team. Even when he's not at his best, he's still making teams. He makes the Olympic team in 21, makes Worlds in 22 and 23, makes it back to the final in 23. He always wins USAs. He's won 5 straight between indoors and outdoors. He's super consistent. But consistent was not getting him to the podium. Consistent was not his best result at a World Outdoor Final. Remains 4th from his college season of 2019. So what does he do going into 2024? He says, this is my 5th year as a pro. It's an Olympic year. I've got to introduce a new stimulus. He says, I'm going to altitude. I'm going to Flagstaff for 3 months. I'm going to train with Hobbs Kessler. I'm going to see, if that can benefit my race. And the results have been very impressive. He thinks he's in the best shape he's ever been in terms of, this point of the season. He feels stronger than he's ever been. And I think there are 2 things to point out about this race. One, he ran a very tactically sound race. He essentially never fell out of the top 3. He was always in position. He was moving up when he needed to. And he made sure he had something left for that last lap when he pulled wide. But the other thing is, when you're super fit, you can just make every move you want to. Like, you're a better tactical runner if you're fit because you have more options available. It's easier to counter moves. So I think it's a combination of he got in extremely good shape, which he credited to going to Flagstaff and doing altitude work. And also, he has a ton of indoor experience between running NCAAs. He's a 4-time U.S. indoor champion. Add those 2 things together, and he's the best in the world in the indoor 800.
146, 145, 144. Super impressive. He may be better at Worlds than he is in a flat-out Diamond League, but to me, this indoor season has changed my thinking about how I know he was dominant in the U.S. level, winning lots of titles, but I was just like, he's doing nothing. He's no factor in his European races. Like, I think the best of Hoppel is in the past, and I was hoping beyond hope that Donovan Brazier would come back. But again, it's like, if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to expect the same results. But this guy, altitude, you normally wouldn't think for a 800 runner. But talking to Hobbs Kessler, I asked Hobbs about him. I said, okay, you guys are out in flag, but do you really work out together? Like, he's a pretty much, he got destroyed by A-Rob in the 1,000. He's pretty much a pure 800-meter guy. You're like 1,500. Like, he's like, we do every workout together, pretty much. And Kessler said, quote, he's a freak, like an absolute freak. He can do everything. He can do long workouts with me, and he can do incredible speed work. So he's a great runner. I'm happy he's not in the 15 because he'd be a weapon.
Well, he might do a 15 this spring. Someone asked him about it. It's like, hey, you're doing all this strength work. You're the world indoor champion. Like, we got to get you in a 15. He's like, yeah, a lot of people have been bugging me about that.
Well, then A-Rob should move to the 15 too if that's true, because A-Rob just wiped the floor in that 1,000. But that shows me that altitude training to me is huge. Like, he's doing altitude training and slightly different training because he's still got his own coach and then Warhurst. I was just stunned that I thought maybe they would show up at practice at the same time and do a few strides together. The fact that they're working out together was wild to me. So, super.
It's crazy to you that an 800 guy would work out with a 1,500 guy.
It's every workout, yes. To me, it is pretty mind-blowing. So, anyways, but I guess Kessler's not high mileage. He's not really 15.5. I view Kessler as like almost a pure 15 guy. But one thing about the back of the pack is the Swedish guy, Kramer. He had a really, like, Hoppel was running to win and was making a little bit of some minor moves, trying to protect possession. Kramer just like relaxed and then kicked really hard at the end. And you can sometimes steal a spot, from doing that. And we didn't talk, by the way, Robert was DQ'd for that move. So I talked to Garcia's, well, I didn't talk to Garcia, he told me he doesn't speak English, but I talked to the Spanish press guy who talked to Garcia. And I also had my phone up with Google Translate. And he said, look, you can run this race 100 times. It's the indoor 800. You'll get 100 different results. And he said he mainly blamed Robert. He said that threw him off with all the contact. But
I don't know, man. Like, I saw that race. I think Robert did kind of try to cut in a little bit, but at the same time, Mario Garcia, it wasn't just Robert. It was when Kretzstein went by. It looked like he was trying to fight someone. Like, he would be shoving and throwing his arm out there. Like, I don't know. I know Robert got DQ'd, but I was looking at them like, I don't know. If you had this race in France or something, I think Garcia might be getting DQ'd because he was like handbags. That's what we say over here in the UK.
Well, as John said, Robert was cutting off Garcia. John was just cutting me off, and as I was making a brilliant point. But yeah, I remember they said that this guy won last year. His last won 2 years ago. His last day, and the journalist was like, but he's not unhappy. Like he accepts the results. I like that guy. He's like fun. He's like, okay, I got beat, no big deal.
But wait, he went out for it and he faded to DFL. He ran 148. Like he's saying, run this race 100 times, you got 100 different outcomes. He went out in 51. It's not like he went out insanely fast. He just fell apart in the second half. I mean, that to me suggests maybe 3 races in 3 days got to him. That doesn't suggest, just wasn't my day. I mean, he really, really faded in the last lap.
Yeah. Anyway, so I guess we've gone since the technical difficulties. I was going to go men's 15, women's 15, and then the 8s. We went men's 15.
Well, let's let Weldon talk here. It sounds like he's got a point to make.
What was the Robert DQ for? Like, there was some contact, but I didn't watch that race and think, oh, wow, somebody should be DQ'd.
No, early in the race, when he tried to move by Mariano Garcia, it did look like he tried to cut in when he didn't have a step on him. But
I'm with you, Weldon. You can see it. We're on the other side of the shade. I mean, it was violent. But I'm like, you don't DQ somebody for bumping into somebody 220 meters into a race unless Alberto Salazar is protesting.
It's an indoor 800. There is going to be, it's going to be physical. And yeah, I didn't think it was DQ worthy. I didn't examine it in great detail. But
can we go back briefly to the men's 1500? I don't know if anyone's talked about this. I don't think we did, but we're off. Nordas. So the message board thread. Now, I don't know if he actually said this. The message board thread is titled Nordas, and it has quote. It has these weird type things. I'm better than Beamish. Blames organizer for a chaotic race. So I don't see where he actually says, though, I'm better. Oh, yeah, he does say it. I'd hope to get a medal. I'm better than him who won, but then I didn't do it, says Nordas. So I guess he did say it, but he's mad that they put 14 people, and he says, I ran poor tactically, but what should I do? What alternative do I have when the organizer drags 14 men into this field? And
Please. Is this turning into is he just turning into Jakob? I mean, I'm a huge Jakob fan, but it sounds so familiar. Like he gets beat, and then you say I'm better than him. Maybe some of it is translation.
But the difference
is like an American. You should just say the better guy won today. I didn't run very smart tactically. It's just sort of
thank you.
Is it a Norwegian thing or the translation? So it is interesting. Well, I saw a better way to run the race. A 21-year-old American did it. His name is Hobbs Kessler. You go to the front and control the race. It didn't look too hard. It's not like Hobbs went out in 13 even the first 100. So it looked pretty easy, actually.
Nars got a point. There should not be 14 people in the final. But he's got no excuse here. I don't think he was better than these guys. We went back right before we started the show in the countdown timer going on. We watched the race again. And basically, well, Nordas has he did not run a good tactical race. But Nordas, Beamish, and Hocker were right by each other the entire race. The difference was Nordas was running the entire race in lane 2. And
he made a big push to move up in the field.
He made a big push mid-race and then made another push.
Exactly.
He made 2 big moves. But I don't. If he's on the rail. Is he almost as good as these guys? Yeah, but I don't know. I think Hawker's better than him in this type of race. And Beamish too. He ran a lot of it in lane 2. He did run a lot of extra distance, but he was right next to those guys. It wasn't compare. Hoppel didn't have a perfect trip either, and he just dominated. So if you compare Hoppel to everybody else,
Hoppel had a pretty smooth ride, man. He was making sure he was in a good position.
So. But Weldon compared him to Jakob. The difference with Jakob is, first of all, Jakob immediately congratulated Kerr for winning, which people forget. And then he said, I'm sick. So I don't know. People think he's making that up. We can see. But that's an interesting thing. I thought it was a fun race. The Portugal guy who was undefeated did pretty well, was up there.
Isaac Nader, he does have a name. He finished 4th in the world. So, yeah.
And whatever. Let's move to the women's 1500. And coming into Worlds, the Ethiopians are the top 6 times in the world, but they can only enter 3. and they swept this event 2 years ago. Could they do it again? And after the first round, where Hailu and Tsige won a heat, I was like, hey, they looked really good. And then Burke Hailu, she's 18, world junior record holder. She didn't look great. She looked a little off to me in this amazing. Okay, I think there might be one medal open. I don't trust the Ethiopians to run a good tactical race. A lot of times one of them will just underperform worlds. And the gun goes off, and that's exactly what happened. But instead of one giving a medal, potentially to an American, two of them ran not a good race, and the Americans were fantastic.
Well, I wouldn't even say Freweyni Hailu ran a great tactical race. She just had an insane kick that lost 200 meters. But I would say, who ran a great tactical race is Nikki Hiltz, because Nikki put themselves in position and stayed patient. It was very interesting talking to Nikki after the race. They said they woke up and they had a sore throat, were worried, essentially went back to sleep, slept almost all of the day. The race was at 9:45 p.m. Eastern, 9:45 p.m. local, which is the last race of the day. And talking to Mike Smith, Nikki's coach, he said, you don't have 3 gears today. You might only have one. You have one bullet, use it wisely. And Nikki saved it for the last 100, and it got Nikki the silver medal. So really smart run by Nikki. Whereas the Ethiopians, there was some surging, and they looked like they were going to break away, which I actually think would be a smart run. For these two women, Hailu and Tsige, have run 3:55 this season. If they just said, hey, we're going to try to run 3:56 pace or 3:57 pace and dare anyone else to hang with us, I think that's actually a very smart strategy. They didn't do that. They went to the front. They went out pretty fast. Then they slowed it back down. Then they were kind of passing. Then it looked like maybe there was some team tactics with Hailu to take a lead, and she didn't run fast enough because she wasn't quite as fit as these two women. Whatever it was, it wasted a bunch of energy. It was kind of a bit silliness, and it didn't help them win. But Hailu was so damn good that it didn't really matter.
It was tactical malpractice, in my opinion. So Hailu goes out 16 seconds for the first 100. Then she runs a 14.7. Like, what? You should never be running under 15 seconds in a women's 1500. 30.8. And then she slows it back down, so she runs a 32. So 32 is 4 flat pace, which is not fast for her when she's run 3:55. So she's 62.89. So that's just 30 is too fast. And then, she did gap the field. And then the 18-year-old, it's clear to me, we didn't get a chance to talk to them. None of them speak good English. But sometimes you can talk to a press guy, and he'll kind of translate what they say. They don't ask the detailed questions the way we do. But it's clear to me, I think she was supposed to lead for the first 400. And then the 18-year-old was supposed to take the second 400. And then Tsige would take take it from there. But the problem was the 18-year-old goes out and dead last for the first 100 meters. Dead last. And then she sprints around the entire field. And she does take the lead at 500, but she hits 800 and 211. So do you really want to go 62 and then 69? Is it 211, right? Yeah, that's crazy. Meanwhile, the Americans are running in the middle of the pack, 5th and 6th or something like that. They're like 64. So that's just to run a 30. I'm not saying they should have been good enough to do that, but the proper way to run this race would be, okay, take it a little bit conservative. Do what Jakob does. He always sees the field for 300, and then gradually grind it down. And these women, Hiltz told us, she's like, I think I can run 3:59 all out. These women the first two have run 3:55. The third one's run 3:58, I think, this year. 3:54 last year as a 17-year-old. And just grind it down slowly, and you'll beat them. But that's not what they did. They went out super fast. Only the top two go out. They waste a lot of energy. And then, and even the eventual winner, she's in the lead at 400. She falls all the way back to 5th at one point, then has to run back up there. A lot of surging, stupid. She was so good, though, it didn't matter. But I think it did cost them the silver and the bronze. But the Americans ran great. You're praising Hiltz. I'm praising God. First of all, we said the OAC would never medal. That was kind of a joke because we could see it coming, but they had never medaled. I'm like, this is the best We sure do spend a lot of time talking about the On Athletics Club, but they never won a medal. Now they won.
See, that's a world champion now.
And they have a world champion. Their fourth best miler. By the way, he said he still thinks he's the fourth best miler on the team. But Mark Coogan, I mean, he coached a gold medalist, former Dartmouth coach, by the way, John Gold, the Dartmouth alum. He coached a gold medalist yesterday in the women's 3K. And then Emily Mackay in her first stage.
Oh my God. Robert got her name. You got the pronunciation. You nailed it. I'm so impressed. That's been a tough one for people to master. Yeah. It's Mackay.
She takes a huge, she goes from 7th to 1st between 1K and 1100, gaps the field at the 400 to go. And then eventually the eventual winner tracked her down with 100 meters to go. And I was like, she's out of gas. But she hung on, got the bronze. Hiltz comes by late, and just a great run for both of the Americans. The two women should be very, very proud of their effort.
Well, all right. I want to point this out. One of the comments here talks about Flagstaff. Should everyone just move to Flagstaff to train? There were 7 American distance medals in this meet. 5 of those athletes were training in Flagstaff this winter. Nikki Hiltz, who's based there full time, and then Hobbs Kessler, Bryce Hoppel, Emily Mackay, and Ellie St. Pierre, who were there for altitude camp. The other 2 were Yard and Goose, who's based full time in Boulder, and then Cole Hocker, who's trained at sea level in Virginia. But I mean, everyone kind of knows Flagstaff's a good place to train, but that's a pretty phenomenal output, Robert, to have 5 of the 7 training there this winter.
Nobody trained in Flagstaff till Weldon Johnson moved there in 2000. Let's Run was founded in 2000. This country, this little website has changed distance running massively. Think about how much faster people are running in 2024 than they were in 2000. Nobody knew about high-low training until little Weldon Johnson.
Yeah. Robert, little known fact, Robert Johnson and Weldon Johnson, co-founders of Let'sRun.com, also co-founders of Flagstaff, Arizona.
John, the Pioneers never get the credit. They never get the credit, But, John, essentially you're saying, well, if a bunch of American distance runners get medals, they're going to be in Flagstaff. But has Pierre and them always gone to Flagstaff, or is that sort of new for Coogan's group? I feel like that's a very positive step because
they've been going there for a couple of years.
Well, maybe 5 years ago they didn't. I feel like at this stage of the game, like how does Cole Hocker do it? He's not training in altitude. That's the one thing missing from the resume.
Right.
There was something on there. Noah Wild was like, if I improve 2%, think about this. Like, you improve 2%, he'll be running like at 18-second 200. Like, you're talking like anything like, a second in these races is like nothing. But if,
I do wonder.
If there's some effective Flagstaff, can it be like 0.05%? But that's actually a big deal at this level.
Right. No. Well, I'm very curious. Like Cole Hocker shows up in Tokyo in 2021, runs 3:31. He's a college kid, exceeds all expectations. Everyone's like, this is amazing. Last year, he misses some time. He gets some Budapest title, late jump in the whole season, runs 3:30 PB in the final, but it only gets him 7th place. I do wonder, if he gets to Paris this summer, and if he's like 5th or 6th or something, and he runs like 3:30 and the winning time is like 3:28, does he start asking himself, do I need to get to altitude? Do I need to get he feels he's done some good base work. He feels stronger than he ever has this year, and we've seen it with him running 8:05 in the 2 mile at Milrose. And he also, he got a silver medal, so he ran well at this meet as well. But I do wonder. We've called it before. It's legal doping. You go to altitude, you get more red blood cells. It's easier to transport oxygen. Like, I wonder what it would take for him to go for a training stint out there. And it might have to be not doing what he wants at the Olympics, or maybe he shows up and proves me wrong. But I feel like it's something. If you're a professional distance runner, you almost have to at least experiment with it at some point, because it can offer such a big boost to your career.
Meanwhile, people in chat are wondering why I'm the worst. Can we give? I agree with that, but yeah, most distance running in altitude at some point, and Flagstaff's good because you can get down. People always thought Boulder wouldn't be good because you can't get down and do any speed work. So everything's it's not really high enough to get the big altitude benefits, 7,000 feet like Flagstaff, and you can't quickly drive to Sedona or Phoenix and get down low and do the speed work. But can we talk one other thing about the women's 1500? There's an amazing story that no one's been talking about. Georgia Bell. This is a woman who wasn't even in the sport. She ran like 209 at the age like 14. And then some guys in the journal said, yeah, she quit the sport for like a number of years, like 5 years. And she started running again, like park runs. And then she got hooked up with Keely Hodgson's coach. And now she's 4th in the world. And I was like, okay, I'm not really familiar with her story. Check the YouTube interview. She's like, yeah, I went to states like in California. So I looked up her Cal results. This woman never scored at the Pac-12 meet. If you're a young distance runner or middle distance runner and you're struggling, don't give up. If you've got talent, don't give up, because she never scored at the Pac-12 meet.
She never scored. 2017, her last year, she didn't even make the final.
No, yeah, but she never made the final. I don't think she ever made the final in the Pac-12 meet. I mean, none of these results. She was at Cal from 20. By the way, how much talent does Cal use? Waste. 2015 through 2017, she didn't make regionals in the 1500. Her college PBs were 208 in the 800, 418 in the 1500. She said, like last year, my PB was 417. Now she's running 403.4 in the world's final. By the way, her flight out of here to wherever she lives in the UK is at 6:30 in the morning because she has work as a cybersecurity expert. She's got a Zoom 9 a.m. call and she's not taking off. So keep up the good work. Amazing story. Really cool. Is that her? Olin, show us the photo.
Did she graduate from Cal or not, Robert? Like, I heard him talking on the broadcast. She went to school in the States, and I'm like, I don't remember her at all. But I mean, if you're going to do cybersecurity, I feel like Cal's probably a good place to go. So she set herself up for after running. Yeah, for me, the 15, gosh, the Ethiopian tactics were just atrocious. And I feel like you can overcome, like Hailu, essentially her talent overcame with it. But Tsige was like what, silver medal last year at Worlds? Like, I'm sort of surprised she did as poorly as she should. But to go out, run sub 15 for 100 and then come through 800 so slow, it's just like baffling to me. What were they?
Yeah, Tsige, when I was like thinking after last season, she might be the successor to Faith Kipyegon as someone who owns this event. She got silver last year. She beat Kipyegon at the World Road Running Championships. Granted, Kipyegon was kind of sick, but I was like, this woman's amazing, And she comes in. She only gets 5th place. She gets beat by Georgia Bell. I mean, it's just a humongous underperformance by Tsige here, who is a 355, had run 355 this winter.
But it just gets me. It reminds me like Hobbs Kessler learned a lot from racing a lot this winter. I've been racing every weekend. I feel like I'm learning a lot. Like the Ethiopians and most of these Africans, like particularly Ethiopia, though, they don't ever try tactical races. They're super talented. Every race they run is a paid in Europe with a rabbit, and they don't have a trials race. Jamaica, all the track powers have trials races. Jamaica, U.S., Kenya, and they don't. And it's just like so stupid. And it's like, okay, I can understand the team tactics. You think these three are going to run away from everybody. But I actually think that the way they did it would have been all right. Like let the youngsters not quite in the same fitness take the second 400. But why did she go in last? And I would just wait. Like in these things, I would just say like run relaxed, run the first lap somewhat honest. 65 is not that fast for them. That's 404 pace. But for everybody else in the field, that's not easy. And then let the youngster run a 65 and then just squeeze it down from there and see who can go with you. But anyways.
All right. The one distance race we haven't talked about so far was the women's 800 meters. Kind of an interesting one. This was winning time 201.90. Tsige Duguma of Ethiopia. I mean, there are a lot of interesting things in this race, even though there are no Americans. Tsige Duguma of Ethiopia, someone I had never heard of, probably as I was landing in Glasgow. Honestly, I don't know how much I had looked at the entry list. She wasn't someone who I would have been able to tell you, oh, yeah, this is her whole resume. She looks great in the rounds, and it gets discovered, okay, she only started running the 800 last summer, debuted in like May at the Ethiopian Championships, ends up running 159 in July. Coming into this winter, this is her event now. She had been a 400 runner before that. She was the Ethiopian champion in the 400 in 2022. And I'm watching her in the rounds. I'm like, this woman could win the whole thing. She ran a 158 PB in the semifinal, looked very comfortable. I was like, this woman could be the real deal here. And she gets to the front of this race, slows it way down, and turns it into a race that the 400 runners should win. She was like, all right, I'm just going to keep the pace slow until the bell, and then I'm going to really kick. She closed in 27.9, blew everyone away, won by 0.92 of a second. So I was super impressed. Sorry, 0.82 of a second. Super impressed by this. And I do think Gemma Riki, like, to her credit, Riki tried to get the lead a couple times, and Duguma held her off. Maybe you could have argued Gemma Riki, the home favorite, who had run such a good race, 158, to win the British title a few weeks ago. Maybe she should get around, and closing speed was fantastic. So I came away from this meet thinking, Robert, like, could we maybe have a big 4 outdoors? I need to see more from her because we didn't have Mary Moraa, we didn't have Ethiopian Mo, we didn't have Keely Hodgkinson in this race. But kind of like Mary Moraa, this is a woman coming from a 400 background. Obviously, she's not quite as good as Moraa, who's a 50.400 runner. But I want to see what she does against the big dogs outdoors because this last lap was really, really impressive. And I think we haven't seen her best yet.
And how old is she?
She's 23.
Yeah, she's impressive. I think she could definitely challenge for the medal. I mean, but it's interesting. We were missing the big dogs in the women's 800. As great as Hoppel was, we were missing Emmanuel Wanwani and Marco Arop, who to me are still definitely my 2 heavy favorites for the top 2 medals on the men's side. But what was interesting about this race is the guys in the mix zone, one of the guys in the mix zone was telling me yesterday, they're like, look, if you want to beat Riki, the way to do it is just take it out and don't make it fast. Like, she's not going to – they thought that she would struggle in a really slow race and make her just beg to lead. She doesn't like to lead. So because a lot of these women basically are used to running these 1500s with Ethiopian Mo where you know it's going to be fast. There's no tactics. You don't have to think about it. It's like a man running the 1500. You don't have to think about it. And this guy told me yesterday, he's like, yeah, if I was going to beat Riki, that's what I would do. Just go out super slow and see what she does. But Riki still, I know she got beat badly for first, but silver medal, nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, Duguma closed in 27.91 with a 13.6 last 100. So good luck beating that. Super impressive. And congrats to her.
But wait, I'm sort of shocked that John is. I'm trying to look up her. Okay, she's run a 158. I guess her all-time PR was this year. She's sort of new to the event. We're supposed to make a big proclamation that she's going to join the, whatever you want to call it, the big 3 or 4 outdoors. And a 158 woman who won a 2:0. I mean, I guess she smoked Riki by nearly a second, but a 2:01 race to me, it's just such a different ballgame than running a 155.
Look, here's my argument. I'm not saying she will join them. I'm saying I want to see what she does when she races them because it's not just that she ran 158 or that she dominated this field tonight, which again was missing the 3 best 800 runners in the world. It's the path she's taken to get here. Well, 1 year ago today, she'd never run an 800-meter race in her life. Now she moves up to the 800. She runs 159 in her second race ever. This was a 54-second 400-meter runner. Most 54-second 400 women aren't going to run 159 in a second race ever. And then she runs 158 too in a semifinal at World Indoors. Like, if she's doing that and then she comes back and dominates the field a day later, what can she do outdoors? I think she has a lot of untapped potential. Can she get to the level of a Thing Mo or Mary Moraa or Keely Hodgkinson? I don't know, because those three were operating at an incredibly high level in 2023. But if there's one person who could maybe break through and join them this year, I don't know. I think she's got a pretty strong case.
Okay,
someone in the chat saying Riki's tactics were terrible. When you lose by almost a second 800, don't talk to me about tactics. This young woman was going to probably beat her most likely, because nobody. Who you think Riki's going to win? She just takes it from the gun and tries to lead from start to finish. No, she's not David Rudisha. Some are people saying Laura Mira would have won the 800. What? It's clear to me the organizers thought Laura Mira was going to run the 1500 because the final event of the final day was the women's 1500. Which seemed weird to me. It wasn't like a much anticipated race. But if Laura Mira was in it, it would have been a much anticipated race. So, because I do think it was interesting to me. I felt like the crowd was a little bit, am I wrong about this, John? More into Riki than they were into Kerr. You know, it's a shorter race, but I may be biased from the fact because I asked a British journalist last year, I'm like, who's the bigger deal, Kerr or Whiteman? And they said, well, Whiteman's the bigger deal. This is because Whiteman had already been the world champion. Kerr was just winning the world title. But Kerr's based in the U.S., even though he's Scottish. So, you know, Riki's here all the time.
Well, also, Kerr is from Edinburgh, and Riki is from Kilbarchan, which is just outside of Glasgow. So and Laura Muir has been based in Glasgow for a while, but I believe is native of Dundee. So this is really the closest they have to an actual Glaswegian competing. That might be part of it. It did seem like the crowd was really, really loud for this one, but it was loud for Josh Kerr's race last night as well.
Glaswegian, John? The guy who's never
Glaswegian. Glaswegian.
The guy who's never been to Scotland now acts like he knows how do you say Glaswegian? Or is that just everyone in London knows how to say that?
Well, it's like, you know, it's sort of unique naming customs for people from different cities in the UK, like Manchester. What would you call someone from Manchester? Well, then.
Manchester City fan.
No, it's a Mancunian. So, you know, it's just one of the things. Just because I haven't been to Scotland doesn't mean that I don't know it exists, or that I don't know. You guys are thinking like, wait, he's in Scotland. He's going to find out. Wait till he finds out about haggis. It's like I was served haggis by my elementary school principal because she was from Scotland. So it's not like it's a totally foreign place to me.
People in the comments are saying,
okay, I want to pull a.
Interesting. I think she probably would have medaled. She probably would have medaled in the 1500. Maybe. I think the Americans are in great shape, but Mira is, you know, much faster outdoors. But I think it's good for Mira to work on, you know, her endurance if she's trying to get ready for the Olympics.
All right, we need to talk about the relay, and then we need to do a few final big picture takeaways from World Indoors. So, Weldon, if you have a final point here to make on this race, make it. I guess Norali Yarigo of Benin. That is kind of a wild story. She's 38 years old. I mean, so many things don't even add up to this story. I don't know what to make of it. She ran 2:11 in the 800 when she was a teenager in 2005. She gives up the sport for 7 years, comes back, runs like 159 in 2016, doesn't improve since then starts working. She starts pacing races in the Diamond League in like 2018, does that for a while, joins a new Romanian coach at the start of last year, and suddenly runs 158 indoors at the age of 37. Now, at the age of 38, for the first time ever, she's won a world medal. She got the bronze in this race. So, yeah, Robert is, yeah, I mean, like, I just don't know what to make of that story. It's very strange progression in her career.
I think it's a fun story. I'm saying she's clean as a whistle. That's why I was whistling.
Okay.
John's trying to insinuate Romanians or Eastern Europeans have
a
history of doping.
I'm just going to pull the Beamish, you know, like get it out there so I can play it both ways. Now, granted, and also I'm going to expose myself. I did not see the women's semi, I think I saw Riki's semi, but I didn't see Duguma's. She ran 158 and smoked everyone by a second in her semi. Like, there's no reason to do that. That's actually very impressive. So I'm excited to see what she will do outdoors. Like, that is good. I was sort of looking up her progression. I'm like, where'd she run the 158? I'm like, oh, wow, here.
Can I interrupt, please? Well, we need to give a shout out to Mom. Mom is posting in the comments under the fake name of Steve Ravenitsky. Mom saying the commentary analysis is terrific as usual. These guys almost always hit all the key topics and even delve into subjects even the biggest fans wouldn't expect. Thanks, Mom. Actually, that's the guy that I paid. He was at the meat welding. He's like, I'm going to watch the show. I said, hey, I'll give you £5 if you put some nice things in.
Wait, I think there's a way to give tips. Anyone give the tip right now to go to Jonathan Galt? We'll put your comment out there. There's some way to do it on YouTube. We should hype that stuff up. Some of these shows.
It's called Super Chat. People make like $100 on it. I don't do it.
Yeah, right. We won't put a comment up unless the Super Chat. Come on, somebody do it. It'll go to John. John is staying in England.
You have to enable it. No, he's not staying in England. John, folks.
I'm not in England right now.
This is an announcement. John does not like me talking about his personal life, but I have to because this is one of the greatest. You know, there's a lot of incels on Let's Run. This is one of the greatest love stories I've ever heard. John's passion.
Wait,
love.
no, I don't know. I don't even want you to go into this. We can talk about this on the podcast after I get back. I could get in trouble if you actually give details of my upcoming trip. So let's just save that for an upcoming show. I literally could get kicked out of the place I'm trying to go for this trip.
This is one of the love. There's been a love affair. There's been just pure love for all of these years. And John is going to visit, support this love of his in Rome. It's not sexual, folks. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'll say. It's his sister will be there too.
Yeah, you're just making it even more awkward now. It's very normal once I explain it, but I don't want to get into the details. Let's talk about this 4x4 because I was stunned. I was like, Noah Lyles is getting added to the 4x4 at the last minute, but I also thought this is kind of awesome. Like, I'm glad he wants to do it, and it's kind of fun that they're putting him on. But not everyone was thrilled about this. A couple people weren't particularly sort of vocal on Twitter. One, Trevor Bassett, who ran in the prelims for Team USA this morning, and he and Paul Dadewa were subbed out for Noah Lyles and Ja'Cory Patterson. Noah Lyles is inserted on leg 3 of the 4x4, and I'm like, what is he going to do? How is he going to look? He ran fine, okay? The U.S. got the silver medal. They got beat by Belgium because, in part, the U.S. wasn't running their best 400-meter runners. Some of them skipped this meet. And Lyles ran 45.68. It was the third fastest leg for the U.S., but it was also the fastest leg of any of the third legs in the race. So he acquitted himself fine. He actually ran split faster than Bassett split in the prelims this morning. It was a prelim versus a final. But Fred Kerley, before this race has even started, he's on Twitter, and he starts posting about it, and I'll read a couple of them. One of them, the first tweet he had about it, at USATF, play the game, how the game go. Then at USATF, you'll play that favoritism like MF. You'll like puppets. For sure, yes, man. Then, man, I tell you, the last 3 years would be asking to be in that ish. F that Olympic storyline shit. You'll puppets, no in between either. Essentially what he's suggesting.
Wow.
Fred Kerley, as we know, was a world championship medalist in the 400 meters back in 2019. And from, his tweets are always a little hard to interpret, but this one, it sounds like he'd been asking USATF the last 3 years to be put on the relay, either at Worlds or the Olympics in the 4x4, and they turned him down. Now, Noah Lyles he's just asked to be considered. Noah Lyles wasn't, from what he said, we asked him in the mixer, he wasn't demanding, I have to be on the relay. It's cool. He said, I'm available if you need it, and he would like to run. And they gave him the call up. They put him into the final, and he ran fine. And I think Fred Kerley is sort of thinking this is a double standard. This is NBC's golden boy. Why is he getting the treatment when I'm not getting put on the relay? When he's himself a very accomplished 4x4 runner. And I guess there are a couple ways to look at it. One is this is world indoors. It's not the world outdoor championships of the Olympics. The talent pool that they're drawing from in the 4x4 relay, not as strong as the outdoor championships. But also, some of those 4x4s, I think Fred Kerley maybe could have gotten a spot on the last couple of years. So what do you make of all this, Robert?
Well, as a fan, as someone who wants to be entertained, sports is entertainment. I love it. It's very entertaining. I mean, first of all, it's shocking. The world is a great place, folks. I know it's hard. For most of humanity's society, we were trying to survive and killing each other and just looking for food. But now we have Josh Kerr and Fred Kerley using the same terms together. A guy in Scotland, a white, pale-ass dude in Scotland, and a black guy from the South calling each other the rivals yes men. USATF is a yes man. Kerr says Ingebrigtsen is surrounded by yes men. But what do I think about it? As a fan, I love the fact that Lyles was allowed to run this. Lyles' dad was a world-class 400 meter runner. He apparently, NBC found a video of him splitting 45 in high school. And if you can see it from like a technical standpoint of like, Belgium was probably going to beat the U.S. no matter what happened. So we needed something special. So Lyles is the wild card. Let's try it out. I can see that. I can also see them just doing it because of his notoriety. And they want to test something out for the Olympics, but he said he was going to run Tom Jones or something like that. I can see also this is America. We have rules that are followed. We're not into committees picking stuff. Normally, it's a very much like, okay, results follow. I kind of think that in the 4x4, you should trust a coach to make the right decision. So I can see why if Kerley, who's run 43.70 open, has asked to be on the 4x4 and been denied, I think it's absurd. So if they're not going to follow the rules and not put Kerley on it, I don't think they should put Lyles on it too, because I don't understand how you would think if Fred Kerley's running really well and is like the world champion in the 100 and says, I want to run the 4x4, considering that he's actually run 43.7.
Well, Fred Kerley has run 43.64. He is the 8th fastest human in the history of the world in the 400 meters. So it probably is room for him on a relay. So
he's got a damn good point then. If you're doing it for Noah, why didn't you do it for me? And that's the thing. Like, people want consistency. So was the coach before afraid to do this? Like, who gives him the permission to do this? But I'm upset about something, it looks like.
This is World Indoors. It's different coaches, guys. Like, the U.S. 400 team was so weak for this. I want to know what the official criteria is to put someone on the team. I think it is you have to be at the meet. People are asking here, well, how do the 3 other guys on the team say about it? John, you mentioned Trevor Bassett. So he was only on the relay pool here, right? Like, he didn't run individual, did he? I guess he ran round 1. He has a tweet here referencing Isaiah Thomas. I think was Isaiah Thomas left off the Dream Team.
Yes, quite famously, Michael Jordan hated him. So Michael Jordan basically said, if you pick Isaiah Thomas, I won't be on the Dream Team. So they said, we need MJ. We're picking you, and Isaiah's not on the team.
Look at the first round. Did anyone run faster than 45.68? Yes or no? Did anyone run faster than 45.68?
I don't think so.
It turned out, but I want to know why you would think that Noah Lyles would actually split faster than these guys. And I think some of it might be these guys weren't running very fast this year. I think you could pull 4 random guys from the SEC meet, put them on this team, and they might do just as well. Like, the U.S. 400 meter running is pretty weak when you don't have the collegians here and all of the outdoor stars here. So the question for me is, who was the coach? Was the criteria followed? I think if you run the meet in any event, you're eligible. So I think it's a different situation than outdoors. I wondered the same with Allison Felix all the time. She ran really well, but there is a storyline that NBC wants, and I don't have a problem with them actually testing Noah here, seeing, okay, how will he do for this? And obviously you should do Fred the same. I think a lot of the sprinters, there's some tension with Noah and all the attention he gets. It's sort of interesting how they view it, but the dude shows up in races and performs at the highest level. So if Fred Kerley wants to run the 400, great.
Well, that was Noah's response. Essentially, Roger asked him, like, did you see these comments? And he read off one of them. And Noah's response was saying, well, okay, why isn't he here then? You know, Fred could have been on this relay if he ran USA Indoors, tried to make the team. He didn't do that. So, the exact quote, I mean, he could be here, but he ain't. So be mad at that. Come on out here. And that was directed towards Fred. Look, I don't have a huge issue with Lyles being bumped onto this team. He ran a solid leg. But the interesting thing is Lyles was sort of saying, hey, I want to be considered for the 4x4 pool in Paris. Let me finish the point, please. Says, I want to be considered for the 4x4 in Paris. And he was going to run a 400 outdoors to sort of show he's in shape for it. He's like, well, I just ran this one, so that's sort of like laying down my marker. And I'm thinking, I'm sorry, 45.6 on an indoor relay. If I'm the U.S. relay coach, Mike Marsh, that's not enough for me to say this guy's on my Olympic 4x4. You need to show me more than that. So if that's what Lyles wants to sit on, he's going to have to be okay with maybe sitting out of the Olympic relay because that's just not a strong enough case that I have to be on this team.
I 100% agree. I would not put him on the outdoor team. The fastest guy, I think the fastest guy in Glasgow 400 would be
Doom.
No, Grant Holloway.
Oh, okay.
Grant Holloway, the 60-meter world record holder, he used to run. This guy, if they had a sprint decathlon, he would be the best in the history of the world. This guy could be world class. Like, it's weird. We get mad at Sydney for not doing more than one event. Grant could probably be world class in the long jump, maybe the high jump, 110 hurdles. I think he used to split 43s. I think he could definitely be world class in the 400. But someone that big and strong, I can see why they don't want to run the indoor 4. But he used to split 43s for Ford back in the day. So I would love to see him run at the Olympics or something like that. But Fred's talked about doing that. Fred. Grant's talked about doing it in the past. But you got to show something that you can do it. Now here, none of these guys in the prelims ran under.
Oh, this was this. Right.
No American ran under 46 seconds, except for the guy that anchored. So if you can't split under 46, I'm kind of fine with him thinking, hey, we need something better than that. We're going to go with the wild card. No. But I would like consistency. But as someone said in the chat just a minute ago, like, do you expect USATF to be consistent? Of course not. Now, was it Mike Holloway that picked the team? Trying to say Mike.
Mike Marsh is the relay coach for the USA. But, Fred Kerley's saying, like...
But if I was Noah, I would not be training for the 400. No.
No. I mean, if I think do I think he's going to be on the Olympic 4x4? No. But Fred Kerley ran 44.6 last year. Now that was not. I'm looking at the American rankings. He was not in the top American or even close to it. But that's probably a stronger case than anything Noah Lyles has done as a pro. He was number 10 on the U.S. list last year and didn't get put on the team. So
of course,
is that a tragedy? Would it be cool to see Fred Kerley run the 4x4 at Worlds? Yes, it would be, and he's done it before. But if he's the 10th best guy, is it also like, is he getting screwed over by not being put on the team? I wouldn't say so. It kind of depends who's available. Like, I got to go into the more detail about like who was at the meet and who they had available and all that sort of stuff.
Can we talk about Doom though?
Sure. I mean, hell of a meet for that guy. Upsets Carsten Warholm to win the 400 meters on Saturday night, and then he comes back and just pulls the same strategy on Christopher Bailey, the U.S. anchor. Watching this race unfold, it's just like, this guy's got it. Because Bailey actually ran pretty well in the 2 rounds, but he knew he had Alexander Doom, who's the individual world champion in this event. And Doom just did the same strategy he used on Warholm last night. He made a move to the outside coming off the final time, and he got the victory. I mean, that guy is just going to be living it up right now. Double world champion.
And I've interviewed him twice, and I'm only looking at it now on our results database, Tiller's option. Like, what has this guy ever done outdoors? He's 26 years of age. Okay. He is they did win the bronze the Worlds in the 4x4 in 2022. But his outdoor PBs, okay. I mean, this is amazing, right? Like, this guy he might not even make the final at the SECs. Like, he had never broken 45 seconds in his life until last year. He ran 44.92 in the heats of Budapest. Guess what that placed him? 6th in his heat. Did not get out of the heats. I'm not sure.
No, it placed him 2nd in his heat. I think you're reading that the wrong way.
Oh, 2nd in heat 6? So did he make the semis? Okay, he made his semis, finished 5th in his heat, 45.57. So he's a 44.92 guy. But, it's kind of interesting. Like, I've been looking at the World 400 results from last year at Worlds. America took 2 of the medals. Oh, excuse me, 2 of the top 4. Vernon Norrie got the silver. Quincy Hall was
This is not right. You're looking at the prelims. This is the final here. Quincy Hall got the bronze. Vernon Norwood was fourth.
I said, as I said, America got 2 of the top 4 spots. But I don't know how the U.S. can lose outdoors if we have all of our guys. There's so many people.
They won't lose. The U.S. never loses the 4x4 outdoors. Well,
I just want to know like what they told the guys. They put Matthew Bowling did not have the fastest leg. They put him. He ran slightly slower than another guy than Bassett. Bassett saying I met the criteria. What were the criteria? But Noah Lyles ran faster than Bassett. Now you can argue in a prelim indoors. There's tactics. You're not going all out. But whatever it was, the coach probably decided this was an easy way to test Noah Lyles. These guys aren't blowing it up. His upside might be higher. Let's give him a run. The performance was fine.
Exactly.
I don't have a problem with this. I just want to make sure if this. I assume this was in the acceptable rules because there's some arbitration or something you could do if it's not. And someone said, the biggest questions about Allison Felix were probably more about the 4x1. She should always run the 4x4. But at some point later in her career, there was some question mark if she should be on the 4x1. But she has great stick experience. So the argument easily can be made. The coaches don't want to lose these races. I'll say that much. Now, the U.S. is so good, not at this meet, obviously, but sometimes in the 4x4, that is the one race you probably could stick somebody on, to get them another medal or something like that. So I don't want that happening.
But it's interesting. Weldon, it's interesting. As long as this is legal, I'm fine with the decision making on it. Of
course it's legal. The relay coaches get to pick the team. There's no hard and fast criteria. You have to pick the fastest guy. We've seen fast people left off the team before. The relay coach, this is their whole job, is pick the best team. And if they're picking Noah Lyles because they watched the prelims, they said we had a bunch of guys around 46, apart from our anchor, we're going to go for the upside with Lyles. I don't really have huge.
And I assume these guys in the prelims aren't taking it easy because they're all running their back. Like Bowling came here just to run the relay. He's running his ass off trying to get on the final. So they're not holding back because they know there's a competition for the final. And one other thing, it would be interesting to see, like, if we ever get to talk to Fred about this, is like, what years did he want to run and was he denied the opportunity? Because it's the opposite outdoors. Here you might want to take a chance because you realize Belgium's going to beat you. Outdoors, the U.S. generally is so much better than everybody else. It's like there's no way they lose this meet. So why would you risk it by running a guy who's been running 100s all year? Hasn't run a 400. Even if he used to be one of the greatest 400 runners ever. Because it's just like, don't risk it.
Let's also remember 2022 Worlds in Eugene. Kerley was injured, so I don't think he was even available. Remember, he didn't even run the 4x1 that year. So that's 1 year that I don't think you can say, oh, he's screwed out of it. 2021 and 2023, I'd have to know more details about what went into it. But the U.S., it is worth noting the U.S. won the 4x4 in both of those years.
C.S. Martin 88's got a good point. Let's be honest. The World Indoor 4x4 is like the NBA G League playoffs. These guys will get worked. If they were in the SEC meet, I guess we can go look at the results, right? I'll do that as we talk. Like
they were the top 2 time. No, they would not. The top 2 times today were slightly slower than the NCAA leader.
Okay, not as.
But so I did think about this. I thought if Noah paid these guys on the B team like $10,000 each, like, hey, I'm gonna take your spot. I make $3 million a year. Here's $10,000. Have a nice day. But all right.
All right, let's go big picture here.
People want women's long jump and pole vault.
They do? People want to.
Adam Phillips has been demanding
wants a pole vault recap. Here's my pole vault recap. Mondo won. All right. That's the pole vault recap.
No, but it was interesting. He almost went out very early.
He did have 2 misses at 585. So that was very interesting because he was an enormous favorite. And I know at least one person who had him tied in as part of a parlay. It was sweating it out. That parlay did win, by the way. But, I mean, that was the drama. Mondo, he missed his first 2 tries at 585, and then he made it, and he won the competition. He didn't get the world record. That's the pole vault. The long jump, I mean, Tara Davis was great. She was great at Albuquerque. She jumped 7 meters twice today. I don't have that much analysis to add. I did ask her, like, the long jump's kind of been under fire recently. What would you do to fix it? She's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing my part. I would agree with her. When she's on camera, she brings the energy. She brings the joy. She was like, They brought on, they were playing Amazing Disco Hit by ABBA, Gimme, 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 A Man After Midnight, just a banger of a song. And she was dancing in between the rounds. Like, she's having a good time. And that is the kind of thing that I think is going to get more eyeballs. She's right. The problem is not everyone in this event is as personable or as, willing to just go with the flow and play to the cameras as Tara Davis Woodhull. If they were all like her, maybe we would, get more screen time. But I agree with her. She's an outstanding talent. She's had a great season, and she's a good personality to boot.
Johnny Lee on YouTube says that Tara knows that people want to see fun and not whining. And that's true. Nordas is coming off as whining. And he's like, I will agree with Nordas. I'm reading more of his comments. He says, I'd hope to get a medal and to win. I'm better than who won. I didn't do it. But at Worlds, he ran for the bronze. If you just sit mid-pack, and this is actually what Ritz and I
We're still talking about Nordas? I think you're obsessed with this guy.
If you sit mid-pack and kick, this is what Ritz told Beamish. If you sit in the back and kick, you'll finish like mid-pack. If you sit in the middle and kick, you'll get a medal. So, but to run for gold is a little bit different unless you have a Beamish kick. All right. Biggest winners, biggest losers of Worlds. I think the biggest winner has to be, and maybe I'm off on this because I just assume it's the same sunglass company. But if you wear indoor sunglasses indoors, you win a gold medal most of the time in distance races. Ellie St. Pierre did it, and Josh. Do they have the same sponsor? If they do, I would give them a free shout out.
I don't know if it's the same sponsor, but they're both the same color. They're both pink. And before this, I was like, that's like the worst possible color for sunglasses. Like, maybe they need it to be not fully, the mirror shades. I always think the mirror shades look a lot cooler. Like Jeremy Warner just looked like a badass whenever he raced. These ones are like translucent and look super lame. Except now the two people who are wearing pink translucent sunglasses are also the fastest people in the race. So maybe they are kind of cool. But yeah, that was a big win for pink sunglasses this meet. And NCAA champions. How about the NCAA development system? 2018, you know what we were doing 6 years ago? We're in the NCAA indoor meet in College Station, Texas. You weren't, but Weldon and I were. Your mile champions, Ellie St. Pierre of New Hampshire, Ellie Perea back then, and Josh Kerr of New Mexico. What about the next year in Birmingham, Alabama? Who was the NCAA mile champion that year? A guy by the name of Geordie Beamish. What did he do tonight? He won the world indoor title. So NCAA development system, big winner as well.
Someone said it earlier. It's the best development system in the world. I mean, you basically get 4 years to try being a professional, and you get tons of practice at race tactics. And now Kessler proved today you don't have to go to the college system and still do well. But I think it's taking him a while to learn these tactics because he wasn't in the college system. So, look, obviously we've got some big winners like Femke Bol, another world record. Thanks for showing up.
Alexander Doom, double gold.
Yeah, I mean, sprint-wise, the guy's amazing, but we're not going to –
We had a bunch of world records. I mean, Devin Charlton, by the way, just for the record, did break the world record tonight in the 60-meter hurdles. We haven't discussed her race at all because we're not really 60-meter hurdles experts, but she broke the world record for the second time this year. She also did it at Millrose. In Let's Run tradition, Robert was in the building for this. So a streak of missing 60-meter hurdle world records, you could argue it's been broken, but Robert also wasn't in like the arena portion. You weren't watching it live, right? Whereas I was.
Correct. I was in the mix zone. I looked up. I saw the race going off. I could not see the time with people's faces in front of me. So I tried to follow Weldon's thing because, like, when Mondo was going for the world record one time, I was like, should I not look? Because I know if I don't look, he'll break the world record. So I kind of saw that race, whatever. But, Charlton, 2018 NCAA runner-up in the 100 hurdles. Someone on Let's Run was saying she came out of nowhere. Like, that's not really true. Does anyone know if she was born in the Bahamas? Because
she's from the Bahamas, yeah.
Because she doesn't have any accent.
What do you mean she doesn't have an accent?
Yeah, I didn't have an accent.
I have an accent. She doesn't. I mean, doesn't sound American to me. It sounds like
Oh, maybe I'm used to the Scottish accent already.
I think she's legit Bahamian.
She was born in Nassau. I apologize. Purdue University grad. But yeah, I thought she was. She said it was a perfect race. She's like, yeah, but I expected it. So, congrats to her. Obviously, when you set the world record at Worlds, you're picking up a nice bonus.
$50,000, and also, yeah, she didn't come out of nowhere. She was 4th at Worlds last year, and she was silver in this race 2 years ago in Belgrade. So, going from that to world record, yes, but like this isn't like she was some total nobody on the hurdle seat,
Speaking of biggest losers, if we talk about 4th at Worlds, Wally has finished 4th at Worlds yet again. He always does it. No, but on a serious note, like probably biggest disappointment from the U.S. perspective, the women's 800, like Addie Wiley and Allie Wilson were terrible. They didn't get out of the first round. That was disappointing. But biggest winners, U.S. citizens running 7 medals. We've been averaging 3. We won 7, including how many golds? 2. So
Josh Kerr is a big winner. I mean, this guy, think about how good he was in last year. He won the world championship. I think a lot of people will be like, all right, Josh Kerr's peaked. This is the best for him. It's never going to get better for him. He just beat Jakob Ingebrigtsen, won a world title. Like, this is it. This was his moment, and he might go back. He might medal again, but so that's it for Josh. You wouldn't be saying this guy's going to go to an even higher level next year. But so far, that looks like what he's done. Runs 8 flat and 2 mile world record. Dominates with a brilliant last lap to win the world title in the 3,000 on home soil. Like Josh Kerr right now looks like the 2024 version looks better than the 2023 version.
Yeah, last year I was laughing at the concept of him running in the 3,000 miles. I thought he was going to get destroyed. Now he's the 2 mile world record holder. But folks, it's time to announce the biggest winner of the day. We just had him in the chat. We need it back. The OAC, the group, the On Athletics Club, the group that we thought would never medal at Worlds, has taken down gold medals. Jordan Donnelly, Supporters Club member, on Shoe Designer. Jordan, are you like, what percentage of you in charge of the shoes? I assume you're designing every shoe.
I assume Jordan would be out partying with Geordie Beamish right now. I mean, it is 2:40 a.m. in Glasgow time, so maybe not. But I like it.
He's at the bar with the OAC guys, celebrating the gold medal, watching the podcast. We're probably up in the bar. Take a shot. It's on John. We'll put it on the Let's Run credit card. But yeah, by the way, New Zealand did have a great meet. On had a great meet.
New Zealand, the country of New Zealand. Today, not just Geordie Beamish, but Hamish Kerr wins the high jump.
Pole vault girl yesterday.
Pole vault, Eliza McCartney medal in the pole vault. Maya Ramsden, national record in the prelims in the 1500.
What's she run today?
4:06, but I think she missed the national record.
What place? Did she get any bonus points? Because we were with the Harvard.
I don't think she was in the top 8, which is what she needed, right? But then she's heading back to Boston to run the NCAA. She's doing the mile 3K double at the NCAAs, which start in Boston on Friday. So yeah, Maya Ramsden was 10th, no bonus points, 4:06.88.
So.
And then, I mean, American distance running in general, 7 medals, right?
Right. So some of these things may be accolades, right? Like Geordie Beamish, obviously a huge winner today. What does this mean for outdoors? But overall, the biggest winner is Ellie St. Pierre. She gets a gold medal, and she's at a whole nother level that we didn't expect. Beamish, okay, so there's hints that this kick was there, but could he win a 3:30? You think, could Beamish's kick win a 3:30?
Not according to you guys.
Stop.
I might have said actually yes. I didn't think the race would go like that. I thought the days of 3:36 World Indoors were over. But lots of optimism for outdoors. Hobbs Kessler was only 20, but he was already running well indoors. Cole Hocker, I thought he could win this race coming in, so I'm not so shocked by the performance. So a couple people who I was shocked were Emily Mackay.
Nice job, yeah.
And Olin Hacker, like taking the lead, both of them, like, or trying to take the lead. It may mean nothing, but like that's a whole different mindset I haven't seen from those guys. So it's like they leveled up. Like who leveled up?
New mindset we haven't seen from those guys. Well, we haven't. I mean, they haven't been relevant on the world scene. This is the first world championships for either of them. Like they had an opportunity here in part because some of the very best athletes in their event didn't run their event at USA Indoors. They totally took it, and now they're going to be big players at the Olympic trials.
Look,
I've never even seen him try to win a U.S. championship, to be honest. I mean, Mackay made more of an effort to win this race, I feel like, than she did U.S. Indoors.
look, Olin Hacker won NCAA title at age 25. His dad was a good runner. I was like, okay, it's a fun story. Why would you give this guy a pro contract? I was like, this guy can make the Olympics. Rich and I obviously had a great Olympics. They won a lot of medals. But the new guy, Jack Mulvaney at Hockey is the elite. Like, that to me is like amazing what they've done. Like, they're not getting the same talent that these other groups are getting. And to see Hacker up there running for the win was sick. Mark Coogan, unreal. Like St. Pierre and Mackay almost won 2 goals. Like, that guy just told him, I got to find the text message. I said, Ray Flynn, the agent, told me that you told him that LA St. Pierre would win the gold. And he texted me back saying, I said, why were you so confident? What was the race plan? He said, Ellie told me she can run under 8:20 or so. She wasn't scared. And I told her to get in third or fourth, stay in the rail, make one move, and hope it's fast. And it was fast. Now, moving outdoors, I do think a lot of the stuff that we saw in some of these middle distance races are ignored because Faith Kipyegon goat and she's smart at running, and that helps the Ethiopians. So it's just like she'll take it out, squeeze it down, and there's not some stupidity. It's not a tight track. Running lane 2 is not that big of a deal because you only have turns every 100 meters instead of every 50 meters, and I think that makes it harder for the Americans. Obviously everybody's there, but it's going to be really exciting for the Olympics because I mean, just think about the 1,500 many guys that like they're going to be devastated. They don't medal. Nagus, Ingebrigtsen, Nordas. Beamish isn't going to be there.
But I have an idea. Maybe we play this on the podcast next week or the week after next when I get back from my little adventure here. Oh, the other thing, Robert, Jack Mulvaney, the NAZ elite coach, he's done something truly special, and it's not coaching Olin Hacker to 5th place at the World Championships or Adrian Riltzka to 12:56. It's got Robert is praising him even though he's 2 decades younger than him. What Rojo doesn't always like to see the young coaches succeeding, and if you're getting a shout out from Rojo, you must have done something truly special. But my question to you guys was, we had 7 U.S. medalists.
Where was Will's coming from? Why did he?
Well, he didn't. I don't know why he didn't. He might be doing World Cross maybe, or he's going for probably the 10. I think he's getting ready for the 10. So if you are looking at this, we've got 7 U.S. medalists in the middle distance events. How many of those 7 will be on Team USA for the Paris Olympics this summer?
Okay, let's go one by one. I'll tell you yes or no.
Bryce Hoppel?
Yes.
Yes.
Andre?
Right. Looks like they're frozen out here.
I mean, as someone who picked Max Sedgwitz to make the team as one of my bold predictions at the start of the year, I hate to say this because I thought Hobbs ran amazing and his talent level's through the roof. Yeah. But I feel like he might
go back, guys. It froze out after Hoppel. We did Hoppel. Everybody said yes. Then we couldn't hear you guys for a bit. So whatever you said after Hoppel.
Okay, we did Cole Hocker and we said Cole Hocker and we all said unanimous yes, right?
Agreed.
Okay, then we're on to Hobbs Kessler, and we kind of not. I don't know if I can commit to that. I feel like Robert was kind of worried just with Nagus and Hocker being so good in that event, with being other threats with the college kids from Washington. He kind of wouldn't commit to it, and I won't either. What about you?
100% won't commit.
Yeah,
I think that he's the.
I said 21 earlier.
He's my huge favorite to be. He's my huge favorite for the 3rd spot, and he views himself those three are a class above. But these UW guys, Watcom Green, etc., they're pretty damn good too. So he's not a lock for me.
All right, let's move, women's 1500. Nikki Hiltz.
Lock.
I think
yes.
Nikki's on the team. I don't know if I would call it lock, but I say yes. And Mackay, I say no.
Well, I say lock. Oh, wait.
No, you can't have 3 locks. That's the thing. That's not your 3 locks. I put Hiltz over her, so
Ellie St. Pierre. I think Ellie St. Pierre is going to be on the team, and then it's like Sinclair Johnson, Addie Wiley, Emily Mackay. I mean, yeah, she's sort of in that mix. You know?
That's tough because I think Mackay and Hiltz are pretty even. I know Hiltz has been beating her narrowly in all these races, and then if you put in, St. Pierre's a lock for me, and then you put in a Sinclair Johnson. But I don't think Sinclair Johnson. I mean, even athletic, come on, they're struggling. People are running faster than them being coached by their dad. That was a cheap shot. Sorry, Pete. But can I not put Hill? I guess you can't say unless you say the team's done for, but I can't rule out Sinclair Johnson. So the only lock, St. Pierre for me.
And then so St. Pierre, obviously one of the other medalists, we will say she's on the team. And Yard and Goose, I think that's a unanimous left. Yes, right. So I think probably like 5. I think there are going to be 2 people who medaled this weekend who aren't going to be on the Olympic team.
There's a small percentage of me, like 1 or 2%. I will never, as long as I live, put Steve Holman tying up and not making the 96 Olympic team out of my brain. So there's a small percentage of me about Yared. Like, I don't see I could see it happening. He's a lock for me, but
nothing Yared does convinces you. The guy runs 3:43 last year. He wins the U.S. title. He makes the Olympics in 2021 when he's still in college. He gets 5th in the World Championship final, and now he medals at World Indoors, and you just still think this guy's a Steve Holman time trialer. Did you watch him in college? He wasn't winning time trials. He was winning NCAA titles in actual races. Without rabbits, he was out-kicking people at the end. He's not a Steve Holman. The only thing that I have in common is they both ran really fast in the European circuit.
I was the leader of the Yared and Goose fan club for years. I just like to play devil's advocate. You know, like the 3:43 mile was okay. I would have liked him win the race. You know, I would have liked him beating Kerr. The standard is the problem. Is the better you get, the more you expect.
I mean, this would be fascinating though. If Yared somehow misses the team this summer, then people like Rojo. I think Rojo does call him an Olympian, but there will be people on the message boards this summer saying Yared Goose isn't an Olympian, even though he did make the team in 2021 and didn't compete due to injury. He was in Tokyo. He was warming up. He had the singlet and everything. Yeah.
I think Kerr's an animal. Kerr to me is like Yaka could be at peak form and still lose to Kerr. It's a possibility. So it's going to be exciting.
All right. It's almost 3 a.m. We have flights to catch tomorrow. We do have to get some sleep at some point.
We haven't finished the women's 1500 meter recap.
What do you mean?
We got to write it up.
Oh,
no one knows.
I finished what I have to say. I mean, that's on you guys. I put in my points about everything. All right. Well, then, thank you for joining us. We'll be back with our regular podcast Tuesday. I'm not sure if I'm going to be on it because I'm on my secret mission over here. But hope you guys enjoyed the pods from Glasgow. Thank you to everyone who listened. Congrats to Let's Run Reader Ben on his massive profit on Geordie Beamish. I mean, yeah, that takes putting $100 on him at 16-1. It's a great bet. It's legendary. So,
what about my $250 bet at 5-1 for Hocker? Damn you.
Okay, yeah. Sorry you lost out.
Oh, not that I would ever bet on these things, but thank God the U.S. won the 800 meters. But John, I guess we still have NCAA indoors this week in Boston, but I'm already thinking outdoors. I was just studying the Paris schedule to see if I think Mo can try the double. People are talking about her in the 1500. I figure no way she actually does it, but it's almost time to think outdoor track and field, and that means it's almost time to think Olympic trials, Paris. It's going to be a great year. If you like this podcast, if you like the show, you'll like it better as a podcast. You get in your feed. You don't have to watch live. Sometimes we pull these videos off the internet. Go to letsrun.com/subscribe. Use code SC25.
Once all the technical difficulties will be gone.
Yeah, it's clear audio, no bullshit. This is just, for the fans we love. So thanks for listening, everybody. Robert, John.
Don't hang up. What were you just saying? I had a brilliant point to make.
You've already made all of your brilliant points tonight. You made
What
so
are you
many
just
we're
saying?
tired of them.
What were you just saying?
Saying join the
Outdoors,
sport of
double,
plugging the
fearless.
podcast.
A thing, Mo.
Yeah, Robert, we'll
William
get it next week. It's all right. We'll manage. Good night, everyone from Glasgow. Thanks for tuning in.